Live from the studio at Hauppauge High School, it's the Early Bird with Jeff and today's special guest, Miss Pincus.
Hauppauge, and welcome to the Early Bird. Reminder to all students and staff, you must wear masks and no other face coverings while in school buildings. This means gator masks and bandanas are not to be worn. Masks only. Thank you for your efforts in keeping our schools safe. Quiz Bowl, Quiz Bowl, Quiz Bowl. Our next virtual meeting is Monday, November 30th from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. via Google Meet. New members are welcome. For the Google Classroom code and meeting information, see the bulletin board outside of Ms. Heck's room 337. See you then. All right, please join our first virtual Spanish Club meeting on Wednesday, December 2nd at 2:30 p.m. To join our Google Classroom, the code is VBRRDXB. Repeat, VBRRDXB. Look for flyers around the building too. We hope to see you there. The driver's ed schedule for upcoming new semester is now posted outside of room 200. Be on the lookout for the Google Classroom code, which you will need to sign in for each class. All right, throughout the month of November, we would like you to continue joining us in 30-Day Gratitude Challenge. Today is Friday, so be grateful for that. All right, come to GSA's on Fridays in room 358 or online from 2:20 to 2:50. GSA is a club that promotes inclusivity of all genders and sexualities and has a lot of fun. So come down for a good time. The Google Classroom code to join is PFNVG4V. Repeat, PFNVG4V. All right, please consider joining the first ever Hauppauge virtual turkey trot. 100% of the $15 registration fee goes to Hauppauge High School Friends and Families. To sign up, go to runsignup.com and search for Hauppauge. And once you are registered, you will be able to share pictures of your participation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest in our studio this morning. It is the one, the only, bedazzling theater director herself, Mrs. Pincus.
Why, thank you, Jeff.
Good morning. Great to see you.
Good morning. It's great to see you, too.
All right. So, Ms. Pincus, some people might know, others might not, but you run a program, or you started a program called Stage the Change.
Right.
So, what exactly is Stage the Change? Could you talk to us a little bit about what exactly it is?
Okay. So Stage the Change grew directly out of room 381, our theater that we all know and love, essentially our playpen for the theater kids. So it grew right out of the classroom. Every year, from the time I began, we always had a human rights production or a compassion week in the school. And so we began creating performances for that. And when it started out, it was really, we would do all sorts of poetry and multicultural kinds of performances. We would do Langston Hughes or Maya Angelou pieces, things like that. And that's the way it started. But eventually, students began to bring in pieces that they wrote themselves, whether it was poetry or songs or music. And then beyond that, what it grew into was us really devising pieces about things that were important or issues that are important to students. So once the kids started taking off with writing their own pieces, it really made sense to continue that way, and that's what we did. When they began writing those pieces, then Mrs. Fletcher in the middle school said to me, you know, these kids could probably write something for the middle school about bullying, and we did. We wrote a wonderful piece about bullying that people began to recognize pieces from, and the Council for Prejudice Reduction, which is a local nonprofit, asked the students to perform for their conference. Once they did that, they began to get recognized by teachers and superintendents around Long Island.
Wow.
Yeah, and so what we did is we took our original pieces. Now these pieces grew from just bullying to pieces about LGBTQIA plus issues or climate change or racism or gender identity and things like that. So they began writing pieces that were really important to them. And from there, it grew to kind of be a movement around Long Island because other schools saw what we were doing and other theater programs began to pick up what we were doing. So it was really, that's in a nutshell the way Stage the Change grew out from the classroom, outside the walls of the classroom, and began to affect the community and Long Island, in fact. In fact, we actually took the kids up to the superintendent's conference in Albany. We performed there. We have performed in New York City for NICET conventions for 5,000-6,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, so the students have really moved Stage the Change forward. And now, what it has become is, what happened at one of those conferences is someone raised their hand and said, why can't you train other theater teachers to do what you do so that their programs could become instrumental within their school districts?
Right.
And we did. So we began a conference that we run every year. It became its own nonprofit. And every year we run a conference at the Tillis Center for theater, dance, and film students.
Wow.
Yeah, so talk about something really growing out of the classroom and taking legs and meaning something to students. It really worked nicely.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Who exactly had the idea? Like, was it one individual in your class, or?
No, I think as a unit. I mean, my classes are super collaborative, and once they started doing performances that they felt students watching were really being affected, we began to write, and it kind of grew out of that.
Wow, that is really fascinating.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
It is, yeah. It's amazing how such a big movement and organization, started like that.
In 381.
Yeah. So how do you think this organization will make changes in our nation and in our globe, would you say?
Okay, so in our nation and in our globe, well, this year is really different. Normally we started with a conference with 250 students and from all over Long Island, and it grew. Last year we had 850 students and teachers and educators together. This year, however, we can't have our in-person conference.
Yeah, right.
Obviously. However, it's kind of an opportunity. This is really exciting, but this year we're going virtual, and we'll be doing the conference virtually. We have a fabulous keynote speaker. Her name is Dominique Morisseau, whose Broadway show was on Broadway until Broadway closed down.
Right.
And it was called Ain't Too Proud. It's the story of the Temptations. So she'll be our keynote speaker. But being virtual, getting back to your question about how we'll affect the globe, we are now, rather than staying on Long Island and in the metropolitan area, we now are able to go national.
Wow.
Yeah, so Stage the Change. In fact, yesterday I got a call from British Columbia. Yeah,
really?
Canada, yeah.
Wow.
So we have students that will attend from across the United States, I hope. That's what I had imagined. I hadn't quite imagined British Columbia, but we'll take anybody that will attend, and we can broaden who we can affect.
Wow.
So,
British Columbia.
Yeah. So, in terms of affecting students and engaging students, I think the beauty of Stage the Change is that it teaches tolerance and understanding and acceptance. It really teaches students to judge, not to judge, but to learn from one another, right?
Right.
And it really stays with students beyond Hop Hog once they get involved in Stage the Change. So I have students that are working and doing this work outside of the school, whether they're arts kids or not. They're still engaged in what's going on in the world.
Wow. That is fascinating. It really is, Miss Pincus. All right, so thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Mrs. Pincus, for this wonderful interview about Stage the Change. Of course, Ms. Pincus and I would encourage you to get involved. Sounds like a great
Absolutely.
conference. And yes, so anyway, thank you, Hop Hog. Have a bedazzling day, and we'll see you soon. Peace. Thank you, Ms.